Stop? I don't know if it's on or not.
It's on.
Okay. What we're going to talk about is diabetes mellitus, which is 3 times as high in the black community, and it's causing a lot of problems. Diabetes is mostly caused by sugar addiction to white sugar and products that contain white sugar, milk, the pastries, the candies, sodas. All these contribute to damaging the internal organ systems. And the one that causes this damage is the sugar demon here. See, the sugar diabetes causes constipation, it causes irritability, neurotic problems, that's nerve damage. It robs the body of vitamins and minerals. It destroys your teeth, your pancreas, and your kidneys. Now, the symptoms of hyperactivity or attention deficit disorder, also the symptoms of someone who's addicted to sugar, either getting high, which would be the aggressive behavior, or withdrawing from sugar, which would be the passive behavior. A person high on sugar could have angry outbursts, they could be quarrelsome, they could be aggressive, restless, stealing a lot, they could be unaware of a danger because they're so high off the sugar. They could be compulsively aggressive, clumsy because they're not able to coordinate their bodies in the right rhythm. Their handwriting skills are usually change because of the high. And then when they go into withdrawal from the sugar, that's when you get into the passive behaviors, depressed moods, anxious, fearful, stays close to their mother because they feel rather insecure because of withdrawal symptoms. And they have mood swings because their energy is not stabilized because they're going through falling down some steps energy-wise. And they have sleep problems because it takes energy to sleep. These are all kind of withdrawal symptoms of a person going through sugar addiction. But we don't associate it with sugar at all. Now what happens with the sugar, which is a drug by definition, is that it attacks a gland called the pancreas right here. It attacks the pancreas, but also it's in this glandular highway. The pineal gland, pituitary, thyroid, thymus, pancreas and spleen, adrenal glands are set on top of the kidney, and the sexual glands. All these glands are in the highway, and they all should be nutritionally balanced, but when one of the glands gets weak, it causes a chain reaction up and down the glandular network. In other words, sugar diabetes taxes the pancreas. In specific, it taxes the melanin centers in the pancreas, which are called the aisles of Langerhans. These are melanin clusters within the pancreas to help us to digest these carbohydrates. And the pancreas gets overtaxed. Let's take a look at what the pancreas looks like. Pancreas is a gland in your body, and basically the pancreas is, as you can see, behind the stomach. This is the stomach here. See the outline of the stomach. Then you have the pancreas here. Then you have the pylorus. Then you have duodenum, or duodenum, as some people call it. This is the small intestines. And then you have the gallbladder, and up here you have the liver. And they all feed into this common duct, the small stomach. The pancreas secretes digestive enzymes, pancreatic enzymes, which are alkaline, and the liver secretes digestive enzymes, which are alkaline, called bile, while the stomach secretes the acid enzymes. And all this goes into the duodenum, but the pancreas gets overtaxed when you take drugs. It overtaxes the pancreas and it overtaxes the liver. And the drugs such as sugar, which is isolated and concentrated in the body. When you isolate a food such as the sugar in the orange or the sugar in sugar cane, you pull the sugar out. But if you could just visualize the orange, we have all this water in the orange, all these vitamins and minerals in the orange that are needed for the orange to be in nutritional healthy state, balance. So when you take the sugar out of the orange, the body wants the sugar to be in a nutritional healthy state. So it wants all the water and all the vitamins and minerals that was in the orange. So it would take these vitamins and minerals out of your body, out of your bones, out of your nerves, out of your muscle, out of your heart, your eyes, And that's why your eyes have problems with vision when you have sugar addiction. Bilberry is the herb used for sugar addiction, as well as eyebright, which helps stabilize the eyes. But nonetheless, this whole glandular highway is taxed, and in specific, the pancreas is taxed because the sugar is a drug, because it's isolated and concentrated and doesn't have the natural vitamins and minerals that it would have if it was in an orange, if it was in an apple, if the sugar was in a watermelon, if the sugar was in its natural state. Let's look a little closer at the pancreas. Maybe a little technical here, this part. But we're looking at the pancreas. Pancreas has the sections to it. It has a tail. It has a head. You see, this part here that you're seeing is the small intestines. So we have the head and the tail of the pancreas. You have ducts inside of it, little veins and arteries. And these little veins and arteries lose their vitality because the sugar causes the moisture, the fluids, and the vitamins and minerals that are in the pancreas to be withdrawn out of it and cause the pancreas to get dehydrated, you may say, the veins and arteries. The other gland that attacks, as I mentioned before, in the glandular highway, is the liver. Let me move that up some for you so you can see it. The liver's on the right side of your body, the liver. The liver deals with toxins, it deals with drugs. All drugs go to the liver: Tylenol, aspirin, sugar, alcohol, atropine, tetracycline. All the drugs go to the liver, and the liver's trying to neutralize the drugs, trying to destroy them so they won't harm the body. So when you're taking a lot of sugar, it overtaxes the liver, so the liver can't do its job thoroughly because it's so busy concentrating on the sugar. There's this drug, the sugar drug itself. Now the liver gets overtaxed, so it can't store enough energy to keep the system stable, and it can't produce enough natural sugars to help your body feed the brain and the heart and the liver. So the sugar has this kind of chain reaction response in your system on that glandular highway that I showed you earlier. Now when you take the sugar out of the sugar cane or out of the orange or apple or the sugar beets, what happens is these nutrients that your body needs are also stripped out in the process. You have the GABA that's taken out, GABA-aminobenzoic acid, which helps people control their behavior. You have the tyrosine that helps you with stress. That's taken out in the processing of sugar. You have the glutamine, which controls behavior. You have pyridoxine, vitamin B6, which helps to transmit nerve messages and is good for stress. It's good for carpal tunnel syndrome. You have the taurine, which is used for anticonvulsive to help you having these what they call temper tantrums in children. You have phenylalanine, which is used for craving, also used for depression. And of course you have the melatonin, which is good for growth and development and helps increase the resting phase of the body. It's sort of like your blood pressure. You have a number on top and a number down the bottom. The number on top will be your serotonin, and the number down the bottom will be your melatonin. One is for rest and one is for activity. And when you take away all this melatonin, you have what you call a imbalance in the serotonin and melatonin ratio, which causes problems with aggression, stabilizing behavior, growth and development. Then we have lysine, which is used for infection, and is used to also keep the body in rhythmicity. And the glycine, of course, is used for anticonvulsants, used for anti-anxiety. That's nervous disorders. It's also tastes rather sweet, and you can sprinkle it on fruits or on cereals for the children to help them control their behavior. All these nutrients are taken out of the food when it's processed in order to get the sugar. When you process flour, the same thing occurs. All the vital nutrients that the child needs to control their behavior, which a person needs also in diabetic conditions, are taken out. So you have nothing controlled your behavior, feed and nourish your brain, because in the processing of the sugar and other refined carbohydrates such as what we call bleached white flour and white flour, all these nutrients that you need are taken out. This wreaks havoc on the body. It puts the body in a crisis condition. You gives the body what we call an adrenaline response. Your body sees the sugar come into the body, into the stomach, and it sees the sugar and it says, I'm in a crisis state, so your body starts firing off what we call adrenaline. And that taxes the adrenal glands, which sits on top of the kidneys. And that causes a person to have kind of fearful, kind of fight and flight kind of moves. They always say, what if? If something happened, they say, oh, this could have happened. A man could have cut off his head. They go into all this fear kind of thing where you're thinking something normal. They fear catastrophe and everything. This is caused simply by the adrenaline response, which can also cause a child to have nightmares at night. As I mentioned before, it's the processing of the food that causes the problem. The processing of the sugar cane and the sugar beets. It gives you the sugar that you eat. The processing that normally should be done is harvest